All right, we have Riot's War of MSKTT versus GT40. I'm William. I'm an officer in GT, so I'm on the other side of this war. But yeah, he asked me to voice this over, and I was happy to. Starting off, Path 2, Section 1. This is Spider-Man 2099 versus Bullseye. This is something that the degenerates in this alliance love to do. It's something I wouldn't really recommend for others, just because I feel like doesn't well, I mean, this is 2 times speed, and you're just hitting block the whole time and, like, you know, dexing some of the SP1. So, yeah, it works. Is it practical? Not all that practical, I think. Get hit by the SP1 there, still fine. Well, this is my bullseye, I didn't even realize, but, yeah, so same thing. Dodge to pause your stuff, and then just keep hitting block. You can also hit normally, but you wanna give bullseye less power because this guy can't dex SP1s. But yeah, it's going fine so far. Minute and a half, not that big of a deal. Another SP1, don't get hit by it that time. And yeah, fight's done. So like minute 40 something, not the worst, but not really something I'd do. Oh, hi fridge. Next is this werewolf on the root strike counter amplify node. Wolf is like kind of decent here because it's kind of freaky when he gets rooted, but Spider-Man does a decent job, doesn't really have to worry about any ability power with the Wither from the Anti-Venom synergy. And yeah, he will get rooted here, and he'll just, eat a few hits. Doesn't really matter. The Rupture is actually healing him because of the resist up, and I think Inequity probably. But yeah, it's going fine so far. Never mind. Gets clipped by a full combo. Still, like, not that big of a deal. Like, he's eaten a bunch of hits, and a lot of other champs I feel like would be way lower health. But this guy's actually pretty tanky. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter if. Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, SP1 doesn't really matter. Still above 70% and sub 1 minute fight. It's not that bad. 12 hits received. He made it sound way worse than it actually was. Next, this is the high energy diet on path 1, section 2. This is a super scroll. Not a super threatening defender. I kind of just put him here so people wouldn't be like inclined to use Warlock for both this fight and the photon on Buffet. But still not that big of a deal. Like Spider-Man does a pretty good job against Skrull, especially because there's no real worry about his power because of the Wither. Get punched in the face a few times, so already off to a good start. He does have Falter. It's the main thing you have to worry about with Super Scroll. And I think he got buffed, so you actually have to like hit into it to remove it. But yeah, the power gain is fully under control by the Wither. Still like fairly healthy. Although 30 seconds in, okay, the burst did a good amount of damage. Pushing over bar. He's tactic, so he'll get like protections, but this tactic is like a nothing burger, so it doesn't really matter. And yeah, I mean, Spider-Man doesn't really have to do anything too fancy here. Just kind of hit him, hit block, whatever you want to do. Just don't eat a special 2 to the face, and there's pretty much no other way to die to Super Scroll, I want to say. But yeah, this defender is worthless. I don't know why I rank for him, but yeah, whatever. Next, I think, is this Photon on Buffet if he ever loads out of the fight. Yeah, so Photon here, decently common. Again, there aren't like a ton of super threatening spots for her. Just kind of put her here as a split, but Spider-Man could kind of just brute force a lot of stuff hitting block with ruptures. Not a lot of champions are immune to that. And yeah, this fight, you don't actually have any control for like the arc overload, but you have to spare to deal with the regen, and you're buff immune, so you're never gonna have to deal with power snack, or not power snack, buffet. Okay, arc overload triggers, I mean, you just reverse the healing even. The only downside is that light attacks into block still count and can give photon charges, so she will enter pure light, but Spider-Man can dodge. I think you need Dex off to do that. I'm not entirely certain about Spider-Man 2099, but that's usually the case with some of these champions that have Dex replacements. Extra 2 here, decent damage. Thought it would actually do more, but yeah. The fact that you can kind of just dex in pure light makes it pretty safe as long as you don't get hit while you have like 8 energy vulnerabilities on you. Not a lot of threat here. Back off, throw SB2, dex it, and yeah, this is actually a pretty good fight. I'll probably be assigning this in the future. Like it seems pretty chill, especially because I have a Spider-Man 2099 to assign in my GT battle group. But yeah, those are paths done. Nothing too crazy. Never any, never in any danger really. And yeah, moving on. I did arrange defense, knowing that this battle group in MSKTT had, you know, a very competent Spider-Man player. So yeah, I probably would have had like something like Count Nefaria here if I knew, but that's like a 30-second fight. And I just figured Thanos would be a little slower, which it was. And Thanos isn't super threatening on a lot of other places. A lot of mystics handle him pretty well. So I just put him here. Spider-Man has the Wither for Rich Get Richer, obviously, so there's not really anything to worry about there. And you'd think you wouldn't want to hit Thanos' block for the most part, which is true. But Spider-Man gets a slow debuff on his special 3, I think. So once you get there, the fight is pretty much just like a duel. So yeah, just doing heavies, minimizing hits, and yeah, once the SP3 is reached, there's again no threat because I mean even here the heavies aren't doing bad damage. But yeah, pausing the Wither is also kind of important, so you don't want to like dex around and stuff. But yeah, once you get the SP3, just throw it, and now you can play Spider-Man normally. Like you don't have to do this stupid parry heavy stuff. It also inflicts a stun debuff, I guess. I don't know unless this guy's just not running limber, which would be a problem. I'll have to go ask him about that. But yeah, so you get the panic, but you can now just hit block and not have to worry about him actually going unstoppable and punching you in the face. So, oh well, now you can punch in the face, but whatever, it's fine. You'll heal up from the panic just with willpower. And yeah, because of Thanos having buffs, you kind of just permanently cheese Rich Get Richer with the Wither, so you're doing a lot of Rupture Bursts. And yeah, so now he's going down, fairly quickly. Each burst is doing like a decent chunk of damage. But yeah, I don't know. This champion is like kind of boring to commentate over. It's like, oh, he's hitting block. Oh, he's hitting block again. Oh, he's dodging the pauses stuff. But yeah, this champion is, not the most enthralling to play, but he is very effective, especially in war. GT has, a couple Spider-Man players, well, mainly just Mass Legend, who used to be in this alliance. But yeah, minute 40, so, at least a little more of a time stall than a Count Faria would have been, or some other random defender. And yeah, now on Boss Island, we have this solvarch on Aspect of Evolution. This placement's like, it used to be better when there were like not as many hard counters, but a lot of stuff still works. And Spider-Man's actually really quick for this, surprisingly. I didn't think it would be that fast. But I mean, you just hit block, he's not rupture immune, and that's kind of about it, as it is with any Spider-Man fight. But yeah, I think Hulkling post fix does really well for this fight now. I haven't seen it, but it's something I'd expect from that champion. Gotta get another dodge in. Yep, pause your Wither. But yeah, there's an exorable, so you don't really want to block too much to feed Aspect of Evolution, which is why champions that hit block tend to do well in this fight. Like Werewolf does a decent job. Hulkling would do it as well. And even like Serpent just hitting block and throwing special twos is, still doable for this fight. Not super fast for Serpent. Or you can just use champions like Thanos or Gallon, but they're a little riskier. But yeah, Riot is, I don't want to insult him by saying he's a Spider-Man one trick. I mean, it's his most used champ, but he uses champs like Bastion and, whatever else he kind of has to. He likes taking a lot of fights, which is like the exact opposite of pretty much everyone in GT. Everyone wants 0 fights, no one wants to plan, no one wants to play. And that's pretty much how it is, but, doesn't really matter. Okay, Solvarch's at SB2 now. It is, I think the first hit's unblockable just from the nodes, so if he throws it, kind of got to back away. But he's an idle, so he just throws an SP1 because, yeah, he can. And now the fight is over. So, yeah, definitely faster than Wolf. I think Wolf is like at least 2 minutes to 2.5, but, nothing crazy. And now we have Yelena boss. I just kind of put her here because what does she even do anywhere else? Uh, and yeah, we had. I think GT had banned Sim Supreme and Hood against this alliance because I know they use a lot of Hood and kind of makes them flex different, maybe less comfortable options. We were considering a Spider-Man ban out of like half seriousness, which we'd done in the past, but just not matched MSKTT, which is kind of funny. But yeah, also at the time, this alliance was first in the world, and we were in third, I think, because we had a loss earlier in the season. And MSKTT had beaten like Noon. They did like 150-1 against Noon, which is crazy. Then they did 150-1 against LBT the next war, which is just as, if not more impressive. And then they did a full donut, their first ever full alliance donut, 115-0 against Salty. So yeah, these guys had taken out pretty much three of the four strongest alliances when it comes to war historically, and we were kind of their last heavy hitter matchup for them to get war champions. This is a big war for both sides. This is a very high stakes war for both sides because GT winning puts GT in a pretty good position for the remainder of the season. Obviously, nothing secured, but something to keep in mind. And yeah, this fight, I don't really know how Spider-Man interacts with, like, I don't know if his bursts are reduced by Yelena's observation mode or anything like that. But even if she gets into elimination mode, you want to hit her block anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And I think these physical vulnerabilities are doing a decent job of kind of, you know, giving S99 a little more damage. But you can dex a ton of the hits on the special one and then just hit block. So yeah, I mean, when you have a champion that can just hit block to, avoid any threats that a defender's kit or a node might have, they can be sent to a lot of, less straightforward or, maybe not as common matchups like, hazard shift hitting block, maybe only like Valkyrie or Wolf style, very similar play styles from these champions. And yeah, I mean, this Yelena, it's been 2 minutes, so not super quick by any means, but she's basically dead at this point. And we're still very healthy. Haven't really had to deal with any of her kit other than just hitting her block to get her out of elimination mode, just so you don't get reversaled going for like an intercept or something like that. But yeah, she's pretty much dead, less than 10%. And I think you're just waiting for this. Oh, no, we'll just go Relic, go for the fight finish right here. And yeah, the burst and a couple more Rupture ticks do it. So yeah, that'll be Riot's War for MSKTT versus GT40. This is the highest stakes war that's happened, between the two of us. And yeah, I think MSKTT did end up losing this war 4-2. So yeah, a bit of, a worse performance from MSKTT than they did against the other, podium contenders. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for watching. I appreciate Riot for letting me voice over, and I'll see you in another video, perhaps, perchance.